Sarah here, aka the Business Fixer. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about the 5 fundamental mistakes that professional service-based businesses make in their marketing. So, now, one of the key things that I think that is really important here in terms of marketing is so many businesses don't necessarily even understand or have been educated, shall we say, as to the importance of marketing. I think certainly, for example, in the legal profession, one of the things that I have really experienced over the years is that they are so used to people just literally turning up on the door or being in a situation where their family always uses the same law firm. Okay. And this is something where times have changed and people do not stay loyal like they used to, right? So being able to navigate and ensure that marketing is actually a top priority is really, really important, right? Now, I know that there are some businesses who even struggle with the basic concept, and there are other businesses who've potentially tried and they feel like navigating marketing can be a complete minefield. And you invest the time, the money, the resources, and often the results will fall short. Worse still, and many firms unknowingly fall into these common traps, and the resources are drained and growth is hindered. So what I want to do today is really uncover the 5 biggest mistakes, marketing pitfalls, mistakes that service-based businesses face, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Ultimately, you want to be able to attract the right clients, maximize your profitability, and create that marketing strategy that works. Okay. Now, the first thing, so many businesses, and even I've been guilty of this one, even with what I do, is you try to do everything at once. You know, many business owners believe they need to be everywhere at once, so they attempt to manage a website, email marketing, social media on multiple platforms, paid ads, networking, and more, hoping that something will stick. Now, I can tell you, because this comes from real life experience, because I did exactly the same thing when I ran my law firm. The scattered approach leads to wasted effort and minimal impact, right? So what you need to do is you don't need to try and master every marketing tactic, especially right from the get-go. You need to focus on what works best for your business, and there will be certain tactics that work better with different industries. Now, certainly for professional services, the social media platform I would highly recommend is LinkedIn, because you are going to find your clients there. Now, for example, law firms, depending on if your clients, you are more consumer or whether you are business focused, if you're consumer, like for example, you do family law or wills, then places like Facebook really is a key area for you to focus on, particularly Facebook groups, making sure that you're responding to queries. I'm always seeing legal questions that are coming up, right? So for example, so you'll start looking at where one, for example, tactic could be LinkedIn. Now, one of the key things that I would also say is video is a really important tool. So even potentially doing an educational piece on YouTube, but I would only say focus on 1 or 2 social media platforms at one time and get those nailed, right? Now, a good thing to make sure that you're doing when you are considering what tactics to do is identify where your ideal client spends their time, right? So if most of your clients come from referrals, then you need to invest in strengthening that referral process rather than spending time on platforms that are never going to generate your leads. The one thing that I would say, though, is you need to make sure that your marketing is a multi-prong approach. If you get a lot of work through networking and referrals and recommendations, that's fantastic. But you need to make sure that you are not solely reliant on that source only, because there could be one of your key referrals and they could go out of business tomorrow and you've then lost a major source. So what I want you to do is do have a multiple prong approach, but don't try everything at once. I would highly recommend that you start with one or two key social media platforms. As I say, networking is I'm sorry, but I still believe that networking works. I know it's worked for me and I'm seeing it working for my clients. But you also need to make sure you're choosing the right networking events where your ideal client is. And I also think it's really important that you have an optimized website. Now, your website is not going to, it's not the way that it used to be many years ago, where you just literally had your website as a shop front and that's it. Your website now needs to be a resource. It needs to be where they can find out not only about you, but what you stand for, why you are, why are you the relevant expert, and that there is massive amount of value and education, and that they can get free stuff, because that you can then add into your email marketing. Now, your email marketing, to me, certainly if you are trying to keep only a few tactics, to me, that should be your nurturing process. Okay. Now, on your website, as I say, you need to be talking about education, which then leads me into the next thing, which is talking about, instead of talking about services, you are talking about the problems that you solve. Okay. So this is where, when you're putting your content on your website, that's what you are focusing on. Don't get me wrong, you need to have your offers, you need to make sure that's clear, but the focus is on how you can help them and the problem that you're solving. And this is a common mistake I see in marketing, where businesses are constantly talking about what the business does, rather than why it matters to your clients. So, for example, listing services like business consulting, legal advice, or financial planning without context can leave potential clients unsure of why they need your help, and more importantly, why they should be coming to you for help. So what you need to do is you need to shift your messaging to focus on the problems your clients face and how you solve them. So, for example, instead of saying we provide financial planning services, you could say we help business owners create financial security so they can grow their business with confidence. This approach makes it clear about how your service impacts your client's success. Your messaging is absolutely fundamental, and it's one of the key strategies that I am constantly talking about. And it genuinely surprises me how many times I hear people stand up in networking where you get your opportunity for your 60-second elevator pitch, and there is no message that is coming through. It's not crystal clear as to who you help and the problems that you're solving and how you help them. And that is something that is a crucial part of that elevator pitch. So do remember, your messaging is key, and that should then be consistent across all areas. So when you're doing your networking, your elevator pitch on your website, your socials, etc. So the third fundamental marketing mistake is business owners make decisions without data. So they spend money on marketing without tracking what's working, and without data, there's no way of knowing whether your efforts are attracting the right clients or simply burning through your budget. Now, the amount of times I see businesses that say, and I was speaking to a prospect recently, and they were going to put a big board, I think it was on the A12 or a roundabout or something of that ilk, right? Now, yes, you're going to have lots of people going past it, but is that likely to be able to generate you the leads that you need? Well, probably not, because that's not likely to be where your clients are congregating. So you don't want to be spending your budget there. But if you are looking and tracking where your clients come from, so if they come from particular networking events, and this is where you need to be specific with the data. You don't just record that the source of introduction is networking. What event? What event did that come through? Because you want to know that the events that you're specifically attending, they're getting you those clients. For example, people come to you through Google search. Well, ask them, what did they put in Google to find you? Because those are all relevant, because that can be relevant for your keyword research and can be relevant to help optimize your site. So you need to be tracking. So you need to look at how many inquiries are coming from different marketing efforts and how many of those, your conversion rates is really important. How many of those are turning into paying clients? And what is the cost of acquiring each one of those clients? And seeing, well, what revenue are you generating from these clients? Are the people that you're meeting at a certain networking event, are they only coming at low level, or are they a high ticket item? This will then help you see where to invest more and where to cut back. You don't need fancy tools to start. You can just use a simple spreadsheet, and that can provide you valuable insights. Okay, mistake number 4. Forgetting that marketing is about relationships. Now, some businesses treat marketing as a one-off effort, creating a website or running an ad and then expecting a flood of new clients. It doesn't work like that. Marketing just isn't about visibility. It's about building trust and relationships over time. I always say this. Business is about relationships, and marketing is a big part of that. You might be fortunate that you go to a networking event and somebody has an immediate need for your service then and there. I recently went to a networking event. I did my 60-second elevator pitch, and somebody said to me, can we have a chat afterwards? And we had a chat, and that led into booking in a business MOT with me. So sometimes it can happen, but more than likely, actually, it's that thing of where they're getting to know you. They want to know what your values are. They want to know, like I say, the problems that you are solving and how you solve them. Why should they be coming to you? And those things start to build over time. You've got to think about that whole principle of know, like, and trust. They've got to get to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. Okay, so this is where, when you're putting content out, for example, you need to be consistent with your engagement. You need to be going to the same networking events again and again and again, so they're getting to know you. So don't rely on one-off promotions. What you want to do is nurture relationships by providing helpful content, answering their common questions, and staying in touch with potential and existing clients. Now, this is where the email nurturing, for me, rather than, like I said earlier, the email marketing, to me, don't get me wrong, I know that some people love doing the whole cold email marketing, and the percent, it can work, but it's low percentages. You need to put a huge amount out there. Whereas for me, I truly believe in email marketing, which is focused more on the nurturing. So you're having conversations with people that are already in your pipeline, so that you're giving them value. You've already got them in your email list. Okay, so just make sure that you are checking in, giving them valuable advice, and just keeping engagement in the top of your mind. It's not just about putting a post out, it's then engaging with people continuously. And I can even say, hand on my heart, that I'm not as hot on that I should be. One thing that I think is so important as a business performance coach is I want to be as real and authentic with you guys. I want to be telling you where I struggle. At the end of the day, it's just me at this moment in time. And you think, you're always juggling all of these balls and wearing multiple hats. And it's like, where do you focus your time? And I know that engagement is something that I need to work on myself. So please take it in the fact that whilst these are key mistakes, we're not perfect. We are learning as we go. So please, don't take these as criticism, just take these as useful points for you to be thinking about. Number 5, expecting instant results. Marketing takes time, but many business owners give up too soon. So when results don't appear immediately, they abandon the strategy and then try something new, leading to this cycle of frustration and wasted effort. Now, with any tactic that you are trying, you've got to be thinking that marketing is a long-term investment, like networking. Like I said, it's rare to go to a networking event and somebody's going to need your services then and there. It's about building that relationship long term. You won't suddenly get 10 new clients. It takes time to build the credibility and trust. And the same applies to other forms of marketing. So one of the big pieces of advice I would give here is when you try a specific tactic, stick with a well-planned strategy for at least 3 to 6 months before deciding whether it's working or not. Consistency leads to success, right? So for example, if you are really ramping up on LinkedIn, make sure that you are consistent, you're putting content, you're engaging, you're having conversations for 3 to 6 months. And I can guarantee that over that time, you'll then start to build the traction. So marketing is a long-term it's a long-term investment. You can't just literally expect instant results from it. Sometimes there are certain tactics that you're more likely to get results sooner, like when you're doing paid ads, but that needs to be a tactic that is working with others along the way. Like, for example, I generally don't advise my clients to run paid ads on Meta unless they have been consistent on Meta. So that's Facebook and Instagram. If they're not, they've got to be consistent organically on their page before that they then start running ads. Okay. So some final thoughts. Ultimately, avoiding these marketing traps can mean the difference between frustration and success by focusing on a clear strategy. So making sure that you are crystal clear as to who that ideal client is, being crystal clear as to what your message is, being crystal clear as to what is the difference in terms of working with you compared to competitors, and showing your audience the value of your services, using data to guide the decision as to which tactics you're using, and building relationships, and of course staying consistent. You'll then be in a position where your professional service firm will be in for sustainable growth. Now, if you would like help in building a marketing strategy that works, where we sit down, make sure that your ideal client, your marketing message, all of these things are in place and you are working with the right tactics, then get yourself booked in. Now, at this point, I'm suggesting a free strategy session. Now, if you're wanting to go deeper and you want to tackle one particular aspect of the marketing, then potentially a power hour. But what I'm talking and suggesting for this session is a free strategy session. So this is where it's more specifically about understanding where your business is right now and where you want your business to be and where the key things that you need focus on. So marketing strategy could be one of those things. It could be your sales process, could be multiple things. But let's sit down and have a conversation and let's see exactly where those strengths, where in terms of where you need to be focusing on, and get your session booked in. There is a link that is going across your screen, so you've got the address, and I will also pop it in the comments so that you can literally click on it and get yourself booked in. It's completely free. You've got nothing to lose. So I hope you guys have found this interesting. Please make sure that you also drop any questions in the comments. I will come back to it. I will get notifications. So even if you're not watching this live and you are watching it at a later point, please still ask the questions, and I will see you again next week. Next week's session will be at a slightly different time because I am actually going at 12 o'clock. I will be at a networking event. So I'm getting myself out there networking like you guys should. So thanks guys for listening, and I will see you all again next